One.
What is going on? Welcome to The Mix with Rob Wilkins. That is moi. The guy you see over there, right there, is Throwback. And he is my producer slash co-host. And and he doesn't have a choice about that for now, regardless if he likes it or not. So,
somebody has to, be your Scott Hall to Kevin Nash.
Yeah. So how you been? How'd you take a drink?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Mentally a lot better. There's some moments.
Solid.
I'm getting more as the weeks get closer and closer. I'm more excited for the main the main channel I have to get to 1 year. I mean, think about it. Like a year ago, we were talking about this as an idea, like you having your own show and, in production on your end, and then me having mine. And just, I never thought I'd be close to this goal. I never thought that the goal I told one of my friends about that I'm actually really close to. And I'm grateful for it. I'm happy for it. It's just insane. Like, I told the conversations that you guys don't know, me and Rob have before when we started talking about this a year ago, about me and him having a show and then me and him having his own and stuff like that. I told him, I'm like, I have 8 people on this channel. I could get 225 maybe in a year, and I'm literally almost there by 3 subscriptions on YouTube.
Nice.
Which is insane.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I mean, the 1 year I think is the big N, changing nights too, and best way to kick off a new night would be having you on if it's possible, because it wouldn't be being a wicked crazy pinfall show without having you as the first guest on the new night.
Yeah, I'm hoping it works out. I think it will.
We'll take the world over with an iron fist, like we always joke around about.
Might as well. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with sports again because I don't have much for sports this week. NFL, nothing. NBA, nothing. Hockey, I do want to talk about one thing that it irritated me to an extent, and I get where people are coming from. Tom Wilson this week of the Washington Capitals. A lot of people weren't happy with the lack of either suspension or fine that he did not receive for his I guess fight, or what he did on this earlier this week with the New York Rangers, Panarin, Artemi Panarin. Basically, Panarin was injured and had to leave the game, and it was a pretty big, like, the easiest way to say it was chicken shit what he did, and he slammed him. He was helmetless because of what happened, Panarin, and he basically slammed him down without his helmet. He knew what he was doing. That's the thing. That's why it was like Bush League, and he did that, and he only got a $5,000 fine. Now the thing is a lot of people have done a lot more to get much more longer suspensions, bigger fines. So a lot of people are not happy with the George Peros, who's in charge of player safety in the NHL. And I don't know if you watch a game. I only watched highlights, but they had a ton of different fights like in that game. It's a rivalry game, so like some of those East Coast rivalry games, they can get pretty heated. But just with what happened with the lack of fine, my thing is, I love hockey just like you do, and the biggest thing, and it comes down to all sports, like when it comes to like player safety suspension, whether it's Major League Baseball, NFL, we understand that there's a certain degree of accountability that needs to be had. when it comes to suspending or fining people for their stuff or with the things that they do. In my opinion, this with what happened this week, George Peros, um, it it was more reckless than anything because this George Wilson has a history of doing a lot of crappy things. Um, I don't think he's necessarily like an awful like player that goes out of the way to do it like all the time, but he knows what he's doing. And the fact that um the league didn't have a bigger stance on this, it's kind of scary because um what if somebody else does something? Why is he why is someone player A suspended for 2 games when you didn't suspend player B for what he did? Um I mean, the guy got 2 majors and he got. I think he got a minor and like a minor and 2 major. I can't remember what he got, so that's on me. But if you're going to suspend players and fine players, you need to make it the same across the board, like for different penalties. This was more. This should have been higher than a $5,000 fine. If they weren't going to suspend them, this should have been definitely more than a $5,000 fine. The $5,000 fine is just that's that's like him going to get like fill up his tank. $5,000 to him is nothing. Um, and what's ironic is that the Rangers, New York Rangers, and I'm not a Rangers fan by any means, but they released a statement about it, how they were not happy and they questioned the league. And the NHL, I think today announced that they fined them $250,000 for it.
Damn.
So yeah, so they're paying a $250,000 fine because they're critical of something that should have been critical. I mean, it's not the Rangers that only said this. There's other players that say that's just ridiculous. Like, what the hell? So yeah, that's that for hockey. The other thing I wanted to bring up was a shout out to Washington Capitals TJ Oshie, who played his first game last night since mourning the loss of his father. He was able to get a hat trick last night. He is he technically he was born in Washington, but he's more of a Minnesotan. He lived in Minnesota most of his life. So I've been able to watch him play a lot, and then also like he played in North Dakota, and North Dakota is one of those big hockey schools that I used to watch quite a bit in NCAA hockey. That is, so a shout out to him. I know that had to be a tough game for him to play, but coming back and getting that hat trick, I know meant a lot to him. So good for him. As far as like what's next, we got good old baseball, and originally until today, I didn't know if I'd have anything to talk about in baseball, but I do now. The Los Angeles Angels designated slugger Albert Pujols for assignment, meaning they are letting go of Pujols. It sounds like it was a mutual decision because they're not going to be playing Albert that much. And based on his stats, why would you? I get it. His stats haven't been good. He was watching another game from the bench and he wanted to play. His percentages, like his OPS, for example, has been 80 points less than the major league average. I don't know if you heard my dog whining there, but yeah. So he's leaving now. My thing is Albert Pujols in his prime, hell of a player, and the thing is he's 41. I mean, for baseball, that's old, and it's a game that he loves and plays, and basically he's told he can't do it anymore, or he's not going to do it for this team. And I feel for the guy because he's definitely a Hall of Famer, and
well, first ballot for sure.
Oh yeah, yep, first ballot for sure, and yeah, so it sucks that he has to call it a career, or he might not. Somebody might pick him up. I just don't know who. I do hope that he gets to sign like one of those
One-day contracts. Yeah.
yeah, actually it already looks like some teams might actually be interested. It sounds like Chicago White Sox might have interest, um, given that Tony La Russa's there. Um, so I just saw that. Kansas City Royals might be an option. Cincinnati Reds could be an option because Joey Votto is going to be out for a month. I
Oh,
think
can you picture that? Oh my God, Sean Rossap, dude.
I don't. I mean, the thing is they don't have they don't have a designated hitter, so I don't know if that would really. I mean, you could put him in there for a month, I guess, but yeah,
You could put him in there for a pitch hit.
yeah. Like that's like I'm just looking at like some of the things like Joe Madden, the Angels manager told Pujols that he'd play all week, but then things changed. So Pujols just wasn't too happy, so they just reached an agreement, and it sounds like he's going to be done. Um, the Angels owner Arte Moreno wrote that the team's honored that he has worn an Angels jersey for nearly half of his Hall of Fame career. He's had historical accomplishments both on and off the field, served as an inspiration for athletes everywhere. His actions define what he means to be, or what it means to be a true superstar. Pujols came into this league in 2001. He had a rookie of the year season. Like you said earlier, he is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Pujols is one of only two players, along with along with Hall of Famer Hank Aaron, to reach 600 home runs, 2,100 RBIs, and 3,000 hits. So yeah, nobody would question his career. He's a hell of a player, and I I understand, and I like he's one of those guys that you might not be able to play him every day, but I would still try to play him some because he's a good veteran, and I get it. The Angels haven't really been able to do anything since they got him, and the Angels used to be a solid team, and a lot of people every year when it comes to predictions always pick the Angels to be one of those like one of those teams that should win the division and stuff like that because you got guys like Mike Trout and lots of good players. But in the long run, I think this will actually help Mike Trout because this is going to free up some money, and they can go get other players. I mean, they just got Anthony Rendon uh, last year, like was his first year, I think, with the Angels. Um, so yeah, good for the Angels and good for Pujols. If he's not going to play and he wants to play, then yeah, you got to let him do it.
Pujols is this generation's going from the transition from the Griffey era when Griffey was at his popularity to like halfway beginning from 2010 for me all the way until now. Like he has that Griffey mystique, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody gravitates towards him because of his personality and stuff and how they play, and you can see the joy in it. Same with Griffey, how like when he was in Seattle, he seemed like so happy and energetic. And then just when he moved to Cincinnati and then bounced around and stuff, he wasn't used as much. With Pujols, he's been with majority of his career, two teams. That's it. And you don't hear it that often. I mean, think about like people like Pedro. Like Pedro started with the Expos, literally got traded to the Red Sox, left and played for the Mets, and then bounced around a little bit and then retired back as a Red Sox. A lot of people are going to be doing that nowadays. The only person I've seen in baseball that started their career and ended their career recently is Pedroia. He played his entire career with the Red Sox, and he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame second baseman, but he might be there like fifth or sixth down the line.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'd have to look at his numbers, but I mean, granted, he helped win some World Series for Boston, so.
And Tim, Fred McGriff isn't one of those guys that played with one team for the majority of the career. He played for Toronto. He played for Atlanta. He bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, he played for the Cubs for a while. And I saw that Ron asked how Nelson Cruz was. Cruz is 40. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, if they're both still hitting the ball, like that's the thing. Cruz is hitting the ball, and Pujols hasn't been as well, or hasn't been doing as well. I was just looking at some of his numbers, Pujols, and he, I mean, he's had 24. He's played in 24 games. He's had 86 at bats, 17 hits. I mean, well, damn, he has 5 home runs. That's not too bad. His bat. I mean, I see it here. His batting average is 198, but I think there's a lot of players that batting average is pretty brutal right now. But I think the thing is based on what I'm seeing here, he could still play. Like, I think maybe the problem is they're just not letting him play as much as he wants to play, and if that's the case, then I get the Angels' position. Like, if they don't think they can win with him there, or if they have other players they want to build, maybe they got to go that route. I mean, looking at his stats, I mean, the dude's a 10-time Hall of Famer, 3-time MVP, Rookie of the Year. He's won 2 Worlds, or I think he's won 2 World Series. I know he's been in 2 World Series.
He's been in. He lost against the Red Sox, by the way.
Yeah, he's 6-time Silver Slugger, NLCS MVP.
I mean, the old one. Yeah,
3 times Major League Player of the Year. He has a batting title, 2 Gold Gloves, 10-time All-Star. I mean, the dude's good. So he's won multiple. I mean, All-Star MVPs aren't much like when it comes to like the overall, but I mean, he has those, and we all know he's a hell of a player. So best of luck with his future. I'm not going to say future endeavors because I'm not that kind of guy.
It's funny how you made like the owner of the Angels sound like a wrestling promo almost, which is actually poignant because a lot of times you don't hear in wrestling like they say wish them well in future endeavors. No, they praised Pujols in that press release. Like, they absolutely said, hey, he did so much for us, whereas some of these talent, they don't say that in wrestling, which is interesting enough, right?
Yeah. Yep. So moving on to wrestling, something that you text me about today, and usually I don't cover much news, but good for her, Jordynne Grace, who just re-signed with Impact Wrestling. That's a good signing for her or for Impact. Well, both. I mean, she wouldn't have signed it if it wasn't a good signing for her. Impact kept somebody that needed to be kept for their division. Jordynne Grace is a star. She's good, and I think I think what she's doing is good. I know some people. The thing about wrestling fans, and we know this, is they want dream matches. They want to see people wrestle. They want to see like, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. They want their dream matches. They want things to happen the way they want. A lot of them. Not saying all of us are like this, but they want
something different and fresh, basically something new, and not keeping the repetitiveness of the same matches over and over again.
Yeah. So good for her. I think I can't remember what Sean reported on Fightful Select, or was it Fightful Select first? Yeah, I think so. I don't know. My day's been crazy, like looking at news and stuff, but I think it was a 2 or 3 year deal. So good for her. So she's a happy camper. So that's great for her. Going on about like this past week, the only thing I liked about Raw, other than falling asleep through it, was I enjoyed the AJ Styles almost stuff. I enjoyed RK Bro. The McIntyre Lashley, and this isn't a shot on either of those guys. The stories are just driving me nuts. Like, it's boring. Like, and Braun, I can't tell. Like, every week, it just seems like he's a guy you can't tell. Like, I like him as a wrestler. I think he's entertaining. But I hate the I deserve this, and like people think I'm stupid. I don't like the way they're doing his past couple of stories. I think he should just let him be the ass kicker deluxe that he is. Like, that's his size. Like, by all means, I can see where like a guy like Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley would be able to take him on by all means, but he should be throwing fucking guys around, like, just and I just get tired of the stories and the rematches and repeats. I mean, this Monday, I had it here that Drew McIntyre is going to face Bobby Lashley on Raw. It's like, okay, great. We already know he's not going to win because he's facing him at Backlash. So why do you have to give us rematches? Just give us not every damn match has to be part of a story. AEW shows you that. New Japan shows you that. Impact shows you that. Hell, NXT to a extent shows you that you don't have to have a feud to have a match. I don't know why this changed for WWE. Like, they used to not do this back in the day. You used to be able to have on Monday Night Raw have Stone Cold wrestle Goldust like one night and not have a feud with him, or like Bret Hart could wrestle 1-2-3 Kid and move on to and face Razor Ramon the next week, and then have his feud against Jerry Lawler, like stuff like that. You don't have to have every match does not need to be a feud, like that's one thing that I praise AEW about, that you don't have to have the same crap happen week after week. It's just not needed. So, but that's the thing, like WWE Backlash is coming up, and they're giving us this match. So, yay. So, like right there, it's like, what the hell? I'm like, you're already telling me right now I don't need to. That's basically telling me right now, right away, it's telling me you don't need to tune in, like to Raw. We want you to, but you don't have to, is what it's telling me.
I smell a rant starting to build up.
It almost did. I'm going to get there. It won't take me long. I'm almost there. Because I was going to start with NXT this past week. Hell of a show. One of NXT's best show. Definitely their best show since they've moved to Tuesdays. They had a hell of a match between the start of the show off between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. Hell of a match. I loved it. That was the thing when they announced. So we've had that match twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row. When they said that was going to open up NXT this week, I kind of said to myself, I know they just wrestled, but the difference between this rematch and a Raw rematch is, I know it's going to be good on NXT. They're going to let them. Triple H is going to let the guys wrestle, but he's going to let them make their moves and do stuff like that. So it was a hell of a match. Isaiah Scott won. And the good thing is I think they wrote the story off because Isaiah Scott basically started. It looked like he was starting a stable of sorts. So good for him. Did you watch? Did you watch NXT yet?
I haven't watched it yet, but it's fine.
Okay, sorry. I was like, I just realized you might not have watched it yet. But
I mean, it's difficult when you have a show on Tuesdays,
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't know if you watched it yesterday or Wednesday, but so yeah, you got that. Then you had the women's main event, just awesome. I don't need to compare it to any other event like this week. It was fun. It was a good match. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae are the new tag team champions. They beat Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Hell of a match. Congratulations to Candice LeRae, who won her first WWE title. Really awesome. I've watched her for years from the independents and things like bar wrestling. She's wrestled a few times here. Just awesome. She's a from just what I've seen of her and met her. She was as nice as she could be. I'm excited for her. I think she is I still think she's a future NXT Women's Champion. I really do. I believe that when I say that. But so good for her. I'm really happy for her and Indy Hartwell. NXT. I keep on looking down. I don't know. Do you hear my dog whining at all?
A little bit.
Okay,
It's fine.
Stop it. we're total pros here.
We try to be. Yeah. We try.
So.
Oh, live streaming, right? Oh, look at the puppy.
Yeah, just a pup. NXT or AEW. This is where the rant's about to start. AEW Dynamite, hell of a show. It was a hell of a show. I liked it. I liked everything about it. The show started off solid. It started off with sorry. I just deleted my page too, so that's good. So the show started off really good. Like it starts off the same every week. Usually like Jim Ross opens up with it's Wednesday, you know what that means. And basically they start going over the card right away, and then they go into their first match. And the show, like, I know they're talking about like next week's show being like it's like a mini pay-per-view. This week kind of felt like a mini pay-per-view a little bit based on what was going on with all the matches. They were solid. I know everybody's talking about the main event for Blood and Guts, and I'll get there. Like I said, I just deleted my page, so this is going really well. Sorry. Okay.
So basically, you were talking about how you felt about the production issues.
Yeah, I was getting there. I'm just going to start with. They started with Nakazawa and Kenny Omega versus Kingston and Jon Moxley for the tag match. When the show started, basically Don Callis came out and said Kenny Omega's not going to waste his time with this, blah blah blah. So Moxley and Kingston roll out, and Omega attacks him, blah blah blah. This match, you already knew Kingston and Moxley were going to win this match. You know, like you figured they were, because they put Michael Nakazawa in this match. Nakazawa was going to get the pin, or like he's going to get pinned, and he's going to be the one that gets butt kicked. And they did that. That match was. This is like if anything on AEW like tells me anything, this was the Raw match. Like, and what I mean by that is it was easily predictable, is what I'm saying. But it was good because they took care of them. The Young Bucks came out, and the Good Brothers came out and put a beat down on both Moxley and Kingston. Omega hit the one-winged angel on Eddie Kingston, and then that was it. So then right after that match, they announced something that we've been waiting. Well, a lot of us have been waiting for forever. Britt Baker is getting her women's title match. Finally, at Double or Nothing. She will be facing off Sheeta. I was happy as hell when I heard it. I'm still happy that she's going to get that match. And by all means, I think you got to give her the win and let her move on and build that one.
It's the right choice. She's the hot hand in AEW for the women's division anyways. Yeah.
And I'm going to skip the Cody Rhodes match for now, because that's going to be part of my tangent. So after the match, I'll go back into the Cody Rhodes match here in a second. So after that match, they did a promo with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Basically, Sky cuts a promo. Basically, in the long run, he called Sting a bitch. Whatever, whatever, dude. Darby Allin or Ethan Page talked about how he put a dent in Darby Allin's head, and they had a hell of a feud. They have a history, and their matches going back. have been unbelievable. Like some of the things that they've done. I think it was Flow. I think they've had like there's so many different wrestling organizations. I can't remember like all of them, like matches they've had, but I think they've gone at it in not first wrestling, but MLW, I believe. Evolve, I think they might have fought each other, or I know Evolve they have, but like in Flow they did. They've had a lot of good quality, just beat the crap out of each other matches. So and then they threw Scorpio and Ethan threw Darby down a probably about 13 to 15 steps on concrete steps. You could tell that definitely hurt. Darby Allin's crazy, but he's entertaining. As long as he can just live, that's all I want. Then what was cool, really cool about Dynamite, other than the matches, is the person that wrestled Dr. Britt Baker that night was Julia Hart, girl from Minnesota, who I've talked to a few times at shows. I've seen her wrestle probably 5 or 10 times, maybe. Really nice girl. The cool thing about this, well, other than her debuting, which was just awesome, I had no idea it was going to happen. So that made it even better. For me, it was cool because I was covering it. And that was awesome. Like as I've gotten more into wrestling, I've started to meet more people. And when you see people like reach out for their dreams and they do it, there's nothing cooler to see. And the fact that she did that, yeah. The fact that she got to do this is really cool, and I'm happy for her. She is a great person, and like I said, I'm really happy for her. She just graduated from the Nightmare Factory. I didn't even know she went there. Like, I didn't see her the last couple of shows I've gone to, but I didn't know that's where she went. I just assumed she was wrestling somewhere else. She originally got trained by Eric Cannon, who used to be in Ring of Honor, and Dr. and Ken Kennedy or Ken Anderson, so Mr. Kennedy. And I think Molly Holly coached her a little bit or trained her a little bit here in Minnesota. So it's really cool to see her that move on from there to go down to AEW and get trained by QT and Cody. So I was really happy to hear that. They had the 4-way tag team eliminator challenge match between the Varsity Blondes, Jurassic Express, SCU, and the Acclaimed. This is a issue that I had with this match. This was another Raw match. I knew who was going to win because for whatever reason they did this backwards. Last week, SCU came out and said to the Young Bucks, like, "What happened to you guys? You changed, blah blah blah. You're douches now," is what they basically said. So that told us right there, like in their next match, that when they announced that they were going to have the Eliminator match a week ago, and SCU was in it, you knew SCU was going to win. They're going to face the Young Bucks. Now, they've been advertising that SCU, once they lose, they're breaking up. Well, the fact that they're going to have this match next week tells me that they are probably going to lose this match. Because I don't see the Young Bucks. I don't see them losing to I don't see the Young Bucks losing to them and going into Double or Nothing without a match, like a big match. I think Double or Nothing, they're headed into the Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston tag team championship match is where I think they're going, is the way I think they're headed, but I could be wrong. I just found it weird that they did this backwards, that they let SCU cut this promo before being the number one contenders, because it basically told you that they were going to win. I mean, they basically said that next time we lose, we will break up. We will no longer be a team. And then you give them a match where they have to go against their best friends, or their good friends. They basically did this out of order. And anybody that says they didn't, I won't agree with them. I'm not going to call them stupid, but I won't agree with you. They did this backwards. Is it a big deal in the long run? Not really. I just if I'm going to call WWE out for some of the stupid stuff they do, I'm going to call AEW out for some of the stupid stuff they do. It's only fair.
And you don't like predictability too.
To an extent. I don't like predictability, and I don't like it to an extent. And that was like one of my biggest problems with covering Dark. The fact that they'd have 16 matches, and the only time you really couldn't predict a match was when you'd never seen one of these two people wrestle before. That's the only time I really couldn't predict a match, because I don't know who the hell they want to win. But with Dark, you already know who would win, and that was my problem with AEW Dark. But when you go into doing stories like this, and I get that 80% of their clientele, 80% of their viewers are not diehard wrestling fans for AEW, I don't believe. And it could be even higher than that. It might be even 90% that they don't follow the story. So maybe it wasn't as predictable to them, but it seemed like it was to me. So yeah, SCU won, and then they gave us a promo for John Moxley and Yuji Nagata having the United States IWGP Championship match next week. Hell yeah, give it to me, baby. I mean, shit.
And all the girls say he's pretty fly for a white guy.
Yeah, pretty much. But yes, I'm so excited for that match. So then they did, and this is where this plays in again, in my mind, where you're doing the promo early. You're doing something weird. Tony Schiavone brought out Kenny Omega so they could announce that he's either going to wrestle Pac or Orange Cassidy, Pac or Pac, whatever. People call them different names. I don't know anymore. Or Orange Cassidy. Well, Orange Cassidy went out there, did his little thing like normal. Kenny Omega just ran him down. And then they announced that next week, like I said, Kenny Omega will face the winner of the Eliminator match for Pac versus Orange Cassidy. Well, with Kenny Omega just running down Cassidy, that basically tells me right there that Cassidy's going to win. It just tells me that. Now, could they go a different direction and let Pac win? Pac, whatever, pick Pac win? Who? I don't think so. Just the way they're going, I don't think they're going that route. I think they're going to go with Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega, which, don't get me wrong, I will watch that. I'll be excited for it because I like watching Orange Cassidy and I like watching Kenny Omega. So that's fine. I just don't don't make it seem like it's too obvious. And I think they are making this obvious. Now, if they go with Orange Cassidy losing this match, I will be the first one that would say, wow, well played. That exceeded my expectations. So now we get into the production part.
I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. So don't get me wrong. Blood and Guts, fantastic match. Except for the last 2 or 3 minutes. Everything was just awesome. Sammy Guevara just kicked ass. FTR kicked ass. Sean Spears kicked ass. Everybody kicked ass. The last 2 minutes was my biggest problem in this show. Well, okay, there's a couple issues with this show. They had a hell of a match, and if you haven't watched it, you need to go watch it, because I could say all this, everything that happened, but most of you have probably already watched it. They killed each other. I get that. Now, earlier I stated my problem about the Cody Rhodes match, and I'll get there because it's part of a production issue. So without going into the match, because you already know who won, you might have even watched it. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. So my biggest problem was within the last 2 minutes of the match. And granted, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, and probably right now I'm just making it a bigger deal than it really is. So the first thing I noticed, and I noticed it on WWE programming too, but I'll call it out just like I call it out for WWE. You could see Chris Jericho and MJF basically having a conversation. Jericho's telling him what to do. Honestly, that does not bother me that I see that, because Sometimes that happens. You need to make you need to you need to communicate between, like, the wrestlers need to communicate. It happens. Production should know that's not on the wrestlers. It should never be on the wrestlers. That should be on production. Production should have went to a different shot right away when they noticed. If we can tell by the way WWE does camera shots, they can change when they start seeing two guys talk. They can do it. So they should have went off. But that's not a big deal. Like I said, it is what it is. It happens. I see it on Raw. I see it on SmackDown. I see it on AEW. So that's not the biggest issue. The biggest problem was two things. When MJF said he was going to push, like, if they didn't quit, he was going to push Jericho off the cage. Now, this goes to the predictability part and basically telling us, don't be stupid. We've seen MJF, like his character. We damn well knew he was going to push Jericho off even if they quit. So that's fine. You know that. Not every fan knows that. My problem is it goes from a thinking standpoint. So MJF leaves the match. That basically gives you a 5-on-4 match inside that steel cage. So I get it. Story-wise, he's chasing him. He wants to beat his ass. I get it. But it, from a standpoint, it just didn't make sense. He left a sure win to go battle it out with MJF. That was kind of dumb. The worst part of that night, and it wasn't even the worst, and I'll explain. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, what do you want, Chris Jericho to get hurt? No, hell no. Nobody wants Chris Jericho to get hurt. When Chris Jericho hit that spot where he went through, they did good on making it the outer part look good. Like when he was going to hit that, when he was going to hit the platform, like the cardboard and stuff. When he went through the spot, they made it look realistic on the outside. But then when he went through it, you can see he basically went through cardboard, so it was the way it sounded. That was a production issue. It wasn't this isn't on Chris Jericho. It's not about his safety. That's none of that. They did what they should have done. That is exactly what should have happened. You have to protect your wrestlers. He needed to be protected. Nobody wants Chris Jericho hurt. Nobody wants anybody hurt. The problem was, and this should not happen as much as it does, this was a production problem. Why they were right there, they should have known that he's going through this. We need to have a camera further back. He goes through it. You basically see the cardboard. It made it look awful. They made him look like a fool. And that's not on Jericho. That's not. They just made it look really bad. Now, will the average fan notice that? I think so. Will kids? No. That part doesn't bother me. Kids won't notice. And there probably were kids watching, and that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. That shouldn't have happened. That production shot shouldn't have happened. They should have been further away. They did show a second shot since then. I believe they put it on Twitter or their Instagram where they show a different shot. And if they would have used that shot, we wouldn't be talking about any of that at all. That was a perfect shot. It was far back, probably about 180 feet away, just based off what I saw on the camera or on the video. It looked great. It did. It looked perfect. So that's a production issue. Will it be the last? Absolutely not. It won't be the last. It's just one of those things where that's two big shows in a row that AEW kind of crapped it down their pants. I mean, You go from the Omega Moxley match from a month prior, and then you go to this. Their big two matches have been letdowns, like from the final scene. That sucks. I hope they get that stuff fixed up, and I think they will. They're still a young company by all means. Now, my big problem on the night, bigger than that, and after thinking about it, I don't think this is on. I don't. This is a production. This might not be a production issue. This might be an accidental issue. So I believe the referee was Bryce Remsburg. It might have been Aubrey Edwards. I cannot remember. The Cody Rhodes match against QT Marshall. Cody, and this is on Cody Rhodes. The referee was trying to take the weight belt away from Cody Rhodes because he wanted to hit QT with it. The referee, for a good 15, 30 seconds, was fighting with Cody and not letting him use it. And as I thought about it more, I think the problem that happened is the referee was able to get it away from Cody. I think the problem was the referee either turned too late around or they turned too early. And basically, QT was able to use a weight belt. But it made the ref look like, Cody, you can't use it, but QT, go ahead. That's exactly how they made it look. And that was dumb as hell. That was my issue. That was the biggest issue. Now, as I said, after watching it again today, I was really irritated because I thought that was the dumbest thing I've seen. But now I'm more convinced what happened was the referee turned early. And that will happen. So I was mad as hell about it from a production standpoint. Now why am I so mad about it? Because my thing is I think if we're going to be so hard, if people, I shouldn't say we're. My thing is if we're going to rip companies for doing some of the stupid shit that they do, like WWE with their 658,000 camera switches, like camera changes during Raw, you should be able to rip AEW when they make mistakes. So I'm actually throwing this issue out with Cody and QT that irritated me for the longest time, but I'm throwing that out the window because I think it was a referee issue, and it really wasn't that big of an issue now that I see it again. I just think the referee turned too early. Now, the biggest thing, and this goes for both companies, WWE, this goes for all companies, WWE, AEW. I don't think that I've gotten smarter by any means when I say this. And I don't know what the hell happened. But production with wrestling has gotten really bad. The fact that, and I've been watching for this, and it's like, am I being a little too harsh? Maybe. But this is crap that I never used to see. And I've paid attention. Like I do. I pay attention to all the little things. I can tell when something's not right. I can tell. I can just tell, and that's something that's been bothering me. They're about pro wrestling more than anything. And maybe I am making a bigger deal, but I've seen production issues like way too many, and this is just weird. And that's what's really odd about WWE production issues that I usually have good rants about. WWE on one of their somebody did a camera count about how many times WWE switched cameras compared to AEW. In 1 minute of action on AEW Dynamite, they had 11 camera cuts. That's one every 10 seconds on average. That's okay. On New Japan, all these matches were the same week, I believe. On New Japan, they had about the same, 11 or 12, like within a minute span. Take a guess how many WWE camera switches they had in that same amount. No idea. That's what you said.
I said, don't tell me.
Oh, don't tell you? Well, I got to. It was over 30. So compared from, so that's over twice as many, and they're going back and forth. They're ruining their own damn show by doing this. By doing so many, like it's not even fun. Like even like when what was that team's name? The weirdos with the mask and stuff. The
Retribution.
Yeah, Retribution. Like when they go in, they like zoom in and zoom out. Like every time they kick somebody, like camera goes in, camera goes out, camera goes in. It's like Limp Biscuit. I roll in, I roll out. I mean, that's pretty much it. Just keep going and going. So 11 shots. All right, cool.
Oh boy. Well, guys, I hope you guys are having fun today. So for me, at least, we'll keep this going since Rob just pounced off for a second. I think for me with Jordan Grace, though, I think the most important thing about it is that her going into staying with Impact is more important because of the fact that it would be a huge blow for Impact to be lost. The thing is that with Impact, with her being there, it's a cornerstone of their women's division that if AEW, ROH, or even we'll go one step further, WWE took over, it'd be a little different how things panned out. Eventually what will happen is that they'll end up going to drive that division with her in Impact, but eventually what will happen is that more and more talent will come into Impact and more talent will go other things. There's new generations of wrestlers, female wrestlers, male wrestlers, so it's gonna be interesting to see. Let me touch on a couple of things Rob was going to. So one of the things he put on here is that NXT has a hell of a show planned. Raquel Gonzalez versus Mercedes Martinez. That's a match that's going to be a barn burner right there. That's going to be insane. I'm looking forward to it because of the fact that you have two different styles of wrestling compared to the two. You have one interesting part where it's basically having a powerhouse like Raquel and a technical style in Martinez. It's going to balance out, but it should be fun to watch. And then you have Kushida versus Escobar. These two can go. They're well-proven talents, and actually, I'm excited to see where this goes. Kushida getting his due is well past it, and I think Kushida should go higher in the chain eventually. I think he should probably go back if once Gargano loses the title for the North American Championship to actually get to that champion. I think that's he's using WWE's in NXT. They're using him for the cruiserweight to get to that next step. Other than that, I don't know why they're doing this, but Austin Theory versus Karrion Kross, that's an intriguing matchup, especially with how everything happened with Scarlett and Theory. It's going to push the narrative to give Kross a new opponent. There's multiple options with Kross for opponents. You have O'Reilly, Cole still in the background. Balor still needs a rematch. You have LA Knight or whatever they're calling him now. There's so many good things. I want to see Kross versus Loomis. That is the end all be all, but that would be insane. Let's see what's up. Other than that, AEW's got one hell of a show planned too. Miro versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship, which should be good. Young Bucks versus SCU as a tag team, like Rob was saying, Orange Cassidy and Pac. Winner gets Omega at Double or Nothing. Cody announces his plans for Double or Nothing. So many good ideas. I can't speak for him considering he's not here, but what he was saying that he was going to be watching is, watching a movie for the first time that he feels like forever. For me, at least, because he's probably dealing with some stuff right now. I've been watching a lot of anime. One of the things I've been watching is My Hero Academia. This next episode comes out tomorrow. I can't wait for that. Huge announcement in anime. Goku Day is actually something a lot of Dragon Ball fans are excited about. There has been tentative leaks coming out of Europe that Toei Animation and Shueisha are announcing a special thing for Goku Day, which is on Sunday. That announcement, people are basically presuming, is a new Dragon Ball movie that's coming out in 2022. For me, I'm excited about it. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. Big time. Obviously, if you've seen the logo for Wicked Crazy Pinfalls, for me, how I'd like that story to go to is bring back with you already have Gogeta in the mix from the previous movie. Bring back Janemba and bring more into it. They could go to different ways with that movie. They can go the moral arc from the manga. They can go bring out some of the old movie villains, bring out like Bio Broly, God help us all if they do that, but bring like Janemba back, Cooler, Meta Cooler, just so many good characters you can say. Bojack they could bring back. If they go this route and they just stay, instead of doing the animation side of it where you get a weekly show and they just do movies, that'd be great. But I would love to see them bring back the anime back and do it on a full-time basis and do the moral arc and, the new one coming out. So that should be interesting with the announcement. For other things too, I'm looking forward to is just watching some sports, trying to catch up on a lot of stuff like NXT and everything. It's going to be a fun few weeks. And then for my show, it's a big time coming up in the next couple of weeks, next 3 weeks or so. Bunch of good guests, bunch of interesting things. So I'm going to wrap my stuff up, but you can check out Rob every night here at 7. Check out Shooting the Sportish. He writes sports columns, covers some of the stuff. He also covers for Fightful.com. Check out, covers AEW, sometimes NXT, a little mix of everything. And check out Fightful in general. The Distraction does really good. It was awesome how they paid for their own spot on Listing Your Boy, which is every Wednesday in the afternoon. And then, check out the review with Denise on Mondays. And, same thing on Tuesday. All the reviews, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You got your plethora of everything. And then check us out Tuesdays at 8 o'clock. Basically, we'll be here. And then me and Rob will be back here every Friday at 7. Hopefully, Rob, you're watching. I'm trying to hold this down. So I'll wrap this up. So check it out, youtube.com/throwback27. If you're watching on Twitch, comment, like, and subscribe on this channel, on the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls channel, and also the Wicked Crazy Crew TV, this channel here. And if you're watching on Twitch, find out on there also. I'm proud to also put out there that the production, that announcement we did for the new show that's coming out on this channel, is taking one more step further. We're going to be doing test runs and stuff shortly, so it should be fun. So cut this out. Everybody go enjoy watching SmackDown. This was an interesting In the Mix with Rob Wilkins. So have a good night, guys.